Mà ńlẹ́ níbẹ̀ yẹn onílé lóko. Ẹ sì kú dédé àsìkò yìí. Hello everyone, it's Aderonke again. I hope your day is going well. Today, I'd like to talk about the word mama and what it means in and of itself. So I've done previous videos like this on baba and iya and some other words, baba and mama is next. So a lot of people may already know that we use this word in relation to mother, but I'd like to go in depth today. First of all, if we're going to say mama is not mother, we have to know what mother is. So according to the Google dictionary, a mother is a woman in relation to a child or children, or a female animal in relation to its offspring. It has Germanic roots anyway. So you see mater and mother and mother all coming together to become the mother that we use in modern English. If we break mama down into the words that combine to form that one word, we will find something really interesting. The ma there, if you think of ma in the Yoruba language, the context that it is often used in is for emphasis. Mo ma lo. Rather than just saying mo lo, I went. Mo lo. If you had ma before lo, mo ma lo. Mo ma lo. And you even emphasize the law like that, you're putting emphasis on the fact that you went. Mo ma lo. You're putting emphasis on the fact that you went rather than the simple mo lo. So in the context that it's often used in, really and surely and indeed are often possible substitutes. Wherever the word appears anyway, it is for emphasis. Mo ma jẹun, mo ma ti jẹun, something like that. Mo ma ti jẹun, rather than mo ti jẹun. If somebody is offering food, there's a particular tone that you could use combined with ma to emphasize that you've eaten and you'd not like to eat. Again, mo ma ti jẹun, mo ma ti jẹun, mo ma ti jẹun. That's what I mean by there's a way that you stretch the verb out in combination with ma to further emphasize what you're saying. Mo ma jẹun is eat. That's the verb. Mo ma ti jẹun. I've eaten now. I'm not looking for another plate. Ma is do not, essentially. Ma lo. Ma jẹun. Do not eat. Do not go. Ma sọ̀rọ̀. Do not speak. So if you put these words together, you will realize that mama doesn't actually make sense to the Yoruba language. And that might be surprising for some, but I'll get there in a second. Surely do not is what it would come to when you put mama together. Surely do not. That doesn't make any sense. In fact, if you were going to use it properly in a sentence, use these words to say do not with emphasis, you would say mama jẹun. The ma there would have to be emphasizing the verb. Say ma, do not, ma jẹun, mama jẹun. So it will be this first before this. In fact, if you're going to use this in a proper sentence, mama jẹun, mama lo, rather than just saying ma lo, you including ma there would be for emphasis. So in relation to maternity or mother, obviously doesn't make any sense. And for those who are observant, you realize that mama is not very popular in ancient oral literature, the ones that are a good number of centuries and possibly even millenniums old. You notice that mama is not common. You would hear and you would hear iya, you would hear iye, as it is in Iyemoja. But from the names to the oriki, to the jokes, to the whatever, you wouldn't hear mama very often. So apart from the fact that it's meaningless, those who are observant will realize that there are just certain words for mother that are more popular in use than mama. So at this point in my drafting, I wanted to, because I know that mama is recognized in the English dictionary, I wanted to know what the origin of the word is in the English context, like if they're going to say anything regarding how it came into the vocabulary in the first place. And I know that before the 16th century, I think the English would have referred to their mothers as mame. I know that there was that, or mother. Thank you, mother. No, mother. I was curious to know when mama came into their vocabulary. This Google resource just says ma, because I checked for ma and I checked for mama. It says mama became ma in the 19th century and ma became mama in the 16th century. So obviously something is off here. If mama became ma in the 19th century, how come ma formed mama in the 16th century? Like, to get what I mean. So something is not being said here. I was trying to see what happened, how our pronunciation of momo became mama, because momo is actually the correct pronunciation. And I know that I've made videos in the past where I've said mama. That was before I started to go in depth into the words. So please, you would have to, like the video I made how many years ago, I mentioned the 4 words for mother, but rather than momo, I said mama, because mama has become much more popular. If any Yoruba speaking person, you would agree, mama has become what we all say now. So you would have to forgive me for that. But if you go to the places where authentic Yoruba is still in use, to they would say villages. Well, and that comes with a connotation. Saying the word village, there's nothing wrong with it, but in the Nigerian context, that typically what you think of is some remote, undeveloped, not uncivilized, but undeveloped place that is not like the city. There's a glorification of the city, so to say, if we're going to be honest. So, but if you go to the villages without the negative connotation that typically comes with in discourse, momo is what you would hear instead of mama. Momomi, ekabo momo, eku joko momo, eja lo ba momo, wọ́n fẹ́ lọ jẹ ọkà nílé momo lọ́ya. Momo is what you would hear, because momo is what is authentic to us. So I'm trying to figure out if this is just a mispronunciation that developed in use and almost became the standard, or a completely different word from a different language and culture. Was it when we got into contact with a particular set of people that we started to say mama to instead of momo? I don't know. Momo makes sense to us. Mo is to know or recognize. Mo is a preposition, and that is with. So momo makes sense. Mo, know or recognize. Mo is with, and if you put that together, that forms the one is, sometimes we don't start our nouns with the regular vowel, like in iya and aja, where you put one vowel in front of a verb and that's how you form the noun. Sometimes, like in yeye, baba, and baba. There's a way that we form nouns by just combining two verbs or a verb and something. So while putting the vowel before the verb is the typical way of forming nouns, that's not the only way. The one that one is known with, or the one that one is recognized with, which in fact makes sense with the way that the Yoruba people think, from the general social life to even spirituality, where you mention your mother's name to a person, to a diviner. That's the person you're known with or recognized with. So that makes sense. And it has survived, but it is obviously used much, much less. The original is used less, and we started to say mama, much more than, I don't know, it's very probable that it was the mispronunciation that eventually became mama, or a dialect also influenced that change in pronunciation. Perhaps with the mama, mama rather than momo. In a particular dialect, there are some dialects where it would sound like mama. You see how that is possible. I hope it's not just me, but you see how that mispronunciation could have grown until influenced by the outside forces, also other cultures. You can see how that would have developed, and we would have started to say mama as well. So momo is in fact the authentic. Momo is the original. Even momo, you will not hear, for the orikis that have lasted centuries, it's not in all of them that you would hear momo. For the ones that maybe were developed or were upgraded within the past 2 or 3 centuries, yes, you would hear momo in the oriki for the deities that we ascribe feminine qualities to, or the deities that had incarnations as women. But for the ones that are a good number of centuries old, it's typically one of these 3 that you'd hear. So my deduction is that it's in use. Even momo may not have been as old. It may not be millenniums old, no. It may, a good number of these other forms may have existed before we started to say momo as well. It's possible that iya and yeye at least were in use already. Well, iye as well, because we've been saying iye moja for a long time. So perhaps the 3 existed before momo came into use. That's my assumption. That's my hypothesis for now, until I'm convinced otherwise. The one that one is known or recognized with, momo, and that's the correct thing. And it's a miracle that a good number of people still say it correctly, but a good number of us don't. It's momo that became mama. Like I said, once you start to, I don't know if it was in my previous video that I said it, or 2 videos before, when you start to break words down, then you start to repair your own language. Then you start to think, oh wait, there's a reason some people say momo. There's a reason momo is used more in the villages and mama is used closer to the cities. Well, the cities like, places like Lagos or the heart of Lagos. As a matter of fact, if you say momo in those places, they will just look at you, like, did you just get to Lagos? Insinuating that you probably came from one village somewhere. With the way that you're pronouncing it, they would prefer mama. But that's more recent. It's momo. That was the original momo. So my question, and what I'm going to concern myself with for the next few days, is knowing what point exactly the new form was introduced, knowing at what point exactly did we start to say mama, and why? Is it a simple mispronunciation, or is it after we got into contact with people from a particular culture? I know that we've been in contact with the English and the Fulani and the Hausa, even the Igbo, the Portuguese. My first interest was in Portuguese because I know that they have a really strong influence on the general Lagos culture, whether people of Lagos know it or not. From the days where we started to trade items to the point where the trade of people, I don't want to go into that, but they were with us for a long time. As a matter of fact, that reminds me of something I wanted to say, that there are some people in Lagos that have Portuguese blood in them, but they don't know. Somewhere, some ancestor and a Portuguese person may have, in fact, reproduced, but of course that would have been washed down. But for people in Lagos who have never left Lagos and don't think they have any immediate relatives, from anywhere beyond that area, don't be surprised if you have some Portuguese blood in you. There's an unexplored thing with that, perhaps overshadowed by slavery. That's at the forefront of discussions. But from relations anyway, there are love stories and sad stories and funny stories and all kinds of stories that we can explore in relation to that contact, that Portuguese Yoruba people contact in Lagos. Let's set that to the side for another day. My is how the Portuguese say mother. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but I'm probably close. Mama would be what the children say in Brazilian Portuguese. Mama is used by children in European Portuguese. So I don't know if it was when we got into contact with the Portuguese that pronunciation changed, because I'm thinking cities, Lagos, Portuguese, of the Hausa, Fulani, Portuguese, English, the one I would choose among the four anyway is the Portuguese. Further pronunciation would have changed in the places that they had contact with, probably influenced by them or something. I don't know. But yeah. The English probably did not always say mama as like some. I found some resources where they said, oh, mama is just a duplication of the word ma. And some cultures have been saying mama before the 16th century. Knowing how unoriginal the English language is or can be, and like I said in my previous video, I wouldn't be surprised if they got it from perhaps the Portuguese or something. But one thing I noticed is in Ajayi Crowther's dictionary, the word mama is not there. I know that the word mama would have existed before then or would have been in use somehow. So as you can see, the word mama is not there. What you find is mama. This dictionary, it has the wrong tone marks. For not indeed mama is probably ko mama jeun, ko mama lo, something like that. Mama is something else, is what I explained earlier. So you won't find the word, you won't find momo either. As a matter of fact, let us check. You won't find, you won't find anything related to momo as well. My deduction is the word would have existed in this period, but maybe was not as popular in use. I don't know. I'd like to know what you think in the comment section. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. Thank you to those who purchased my Ashe earrings. I was supposed to wear them, but I forgot. But yeah, you can check the link in the description to visit my Etsy store to see the things that I have for sale. And thank you to my patrons and YouTube members as well. I cannot thank you enough. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and bye for now.
Ọ̀nà kan ọ̀dà bí ọ̀nà sáré, orí amúkan tó dùn bí ọmú ìyá mi. Bàbá gbárùrù àmọ́ gbárùrù kànàkú lábáyé mọ́jà nígbàkúgbà. Èmi báyé mọ́jà lérí tí ọmọ àgọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ jì. Àgọ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ jì mí ìwọ́n sì bí ọdún bá tó. Ìwọ́n sì bí ọdún tó mi lẹ́yẹ ìyàwó òòsà oko. Oníbó mi, ọ̀kẹ́rẹ́ fi tàkùsọ̀ pọ̀ yé mọ́jà kú lódò ló sì wà.